The ongoing battle and ongoing drama of the NFL quarterback position continues to roll. And yesterday, around noon Eastern, we got official news about everything that was going to be happening with Carson Wentz. There are a bunch of different storylines that I want to dive into with you. But to me, the biggest and most intriguing story is this. What is Carson Wentz's future at the quarterback position? He's going to cost $47 million, roughly, over the next 2 seasons for the Indianapolis Colts. That is a somewhat manageable dollar figure. And so the monster question that is hanging out there is, will Carson Wentz be able to go back to being an MVP caliber quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts? Or will he not? And there are different potential lines that you can follow in this narrative. He could be Cam Newton, right? Carson Wentz could be Cam Newton. He had his peak. He had basically an MVP caliber season. Carson Wentz did in 2017, tore his ACL, wasn't able to finish the season. When he did that, Frank Reich was his offensive coordinator. And that was the performance that convinced the Philadelphia Eagles, we have our quarterback of the long-term future here. That's why they gave him big money. Or he could be a quarterback who things just fell apart in terms of his confidence, in terms of the overall coaching, in terms of the actual talent around him. And he could be a reclamation project the likes of Ryan Tannehill. It's hard to know exactly what to expect going forward for Carson Wentz, but the Indianapolis Colts are betting that Frank Reich has a magic pill and that he can bring back Carson Wentz to the 2017 version of Carson Wentz. Now, there are reasons for optimism if you're a Colts fan. Offensive line is strong, although you need to go get a new left tackle. Jonathan Taylor, I believe, is going to be a stud at the running back position for the next few years. You've got otherwise a really talented offensive line, a very good defense, and no reason to believe that your quarterback has to go out and be capable of scoring 40 points a game. For the most part, if you make solid decisions, don't turn the ball over, and continue in that vein as a leader, there are a lot of positive things to think about from the perspective of Carson Wentz to the Colts. Now, line did not move very much, because overall gamblers are not sold on the idea of Carson Wentz making much of a difference. Indianapolis to win the Super Bowl before Carson Wentz was added, 25-1. After, 22-1. Indianapolis to win the AFC after Carson Wentz was added, from 12-1 to 11-1. And I think the bigger picture here with the trade of Carson Wentz, and I'm going to dive into this and break it down for you as well. There isn't a single quarterback drafted in the first round from 2009 to 2016 that is still with his original team. 0 out of 22 first-round quarterbacks from 2009 to 2016 are still with their original team. I mean, think about how crazy that is. You've got the best minds in all of football probably spending $1 billion on contracts on those 22 players, roughly, probably $1 billion, and they got it all wrong. 0 for 22. Every single team that drafted a quarterback in the first round from 2009 to 2016, those players are now on different teams. It's one of the most mind-blowing stats I have seen in a very long time. Again, because of the amount of money that is at stake on the quarterback position, and NFL teams couldn't have done worse. Basically, for about an 8-year period there, they whiffed on every single potential option at the quarterback position. They spent $1 billion on the quarterback position, roughly, with those 22 draft picks, and all of them failed. If you ever wonder Why is it so hard to figure out who is going to be good at the quarterback position? That is a stat for you to drop into a conversation. And a lot of people will say, wow. Not even a coin flip. Because a lot of times we're like, well, if you think about it, whether or not this quarterback is going to be really good is basically a coin flip. From 2009 to 2016, that's pretty recent. With all of the modern day scouting techniques, with all of the ability to look at film, with all of the years of training. These are guys that went through the 7-on-7s, that came through the Elite 11, that are the most skilled and most astutely trained athletes at the quarterback position of all time. 0 for 22 the NFL went. 2009 to 2016, they couldn't figure out who made sense going forward. Now, who wins the trade? That's a question we ask every single time we see a big-time playmaker move one way or another from a directional standpoint. And to me, the answer is the Colts, if Frank Reich can work his magic. Because they are a good quarterback away from, I believe, legitimately contending for an NFL Super Bowl championship. And at least you have seen Carson Wentz be capable of playing at an elite level, and the best that he has ever played is with Frank Reich. And I believe so much of what's going on with Carson Wentz right now has to be mental. It really does. Because when he has played at such a high level, and to have everything fall apart like it has in Philadelphia, so much of his failure has to be mental. And if he believes, truly believes, that Frank Reich can be a difference maker for him, that he can help to return Carson Wentz to the stud quarterback that he was back in 2017, then belief is probably way more than half the battle. Trusting your coach that he is going to put you in the right situations, that the schemes and that the play calls and that the preparation that he is going to invest in this Colts offense is going to work, has to be the majority of what can happen for Carson Wentz going forward. It doesn't seem to me that there is a physical reason why he has fallen apart the way that he has. And so if you're a Colts fan, I think you have to be optimistic that this guy can be the answer for you. Now, if you're an Eagles fan, I think it's fair to say that Carson Wentz is broken. And I've argued for a while, Carson Wentz was lucky last season that there were no Philadelphia Eagle fans present in the stadium because of how bad he played. There would have been such rampant booing and so much anger associated with Carson Wentz as the starting quarterback in Philadelphia that it would have been almost impossible to have him on the field in any way because Eagle fans turned on him badly. The only thing that was a saving grace for him was there were no Eagle fans present in the stadium, so all the booing and all the catcalling wasn't audible for all of us to hear, even though we know that everybody who was a Philly fan was pretty much done with Carson Wentz. So you end up with a first-round pick if Wentz can stay healthy and play 70% of the snaps and go to the playoffs, or 75% of the snaps and just play those snaps, then you end up with a first-round pick. Not right now, I think in third-rounder this year, and then a first-rounder in 2022. So as you look at this from an Eagle perspective, is Jalen Hurts going to be the guy or not? Well, the future is now for the Eagles as it pertains to Jalen Hurts. And I think Jalen Hurts is a great dude. And it was hard not to root for him coming out of Alabama and then when he went to Oklahoma. The question of whether or not he is going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, the future is now for him. Because I don't think that the Eagles are going to commit a long-range future to him. I don't think they're going to go get a quarterback with the number 6 overall pick this year. But I do think that the leash is going to be relatively short on whether or not Jalen Hurts is the guy going forward. Because right now in the NFC East, there's a lot of uncertainty everywhere, right? Washington doesn't really have a quarterback. I mean, maybe you can count Alex Smith, Heineke, but there's not really anybody that's sold in Washington. It remains to be seen whether Daniel Jones is going to be the guy with the Giants. We don't know what's going to happen with Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts. And then Dak Prescott is coming off of a serious injury, has now had to have an additional surgery on that ankle leg area in order to theoretically be able to come back and play. And again, he was on the franchise tag and he's unsigned. I'm not sure right now that there is a more unclear or more messy quarterback situation in any division than the NFC East, because frankly, we don't know if any of the four teams have a quarterback of the future that they're 100% committed to. We just don't. And I'm not sure that there's any other division in football right now where you can go 1-4, every team in the division, and say, hey, we just don't know about whether or not this guy's the answer. And there's no confidence level at all, really, to the grand extent, whether you're Daniel Jones. Certainly there's nothing in Washington. Who knows if Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy, and then nobody has any clue what's going to happen with Dak. Conversely, in the Indianapolis Colts division, there is starting to be at least some competition for the Titans, who were sitting around like Ryan Tannehill, who nobody had any faith in a couple of years ago, was by far, and I still think is by far, the most reliable quarterback option in the AFC South. Not because he's the best, that's Deshaun Watson, but because Deshaun Watson, there's no idea what's going to happen with him with the Texans. You're not sure how Carson Wentz is going to pan out with the Colts, and Trevor Lawrence is an exhilarating future potentially for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I just ran through all of those first-round draft picks, and so as excited as you may be if you're a Jags fan with the idea of drafting Trevor Lawrence, it's a mind-blowing stat that the NFL, every team, everyone who has paid massive amounts of dollars to get it right at the quarterback position, the entire league whiffed on an 8-year basis from 2009 to 2016. Every single quarterback failed, and none of them, 22 of them in the first round who were drafted to be the long-range quarterbacks of the future for all those teams from 2009 to 2016, they're all off the team that drafted them. It's amazing. It's unbelievable.